to hit on that, you're right, because obviously the last election was very engaged, very passionate. We got a great voter turnout. Everyone was hands on deck. And it kind of feels, especially kind of outside looking in right now, like everybody just kind of picked the ball up and went home and said, okay, we done, we won. I'm just going to go back to my life. And I'm like, no, like this is now more important now more than ever. Because if you like I do every morning when I get up, I'm like, what happened in the news? What's President Trump been signing in? And I'm like, we got to get Congress to sign those laws, the executive orders into law so they can't just be flipped and the next time around. And everybody's just kind of being quiet. And everything that's going on in the next 2 years is going to be critical for that kind of progress that we're seeing in our country to continue. And yeah, everybody's just kind of falling back asleep on the watch.
I mean, everybody gets really concerned about who's sitting in the White House, and that's important, and we should care. And I am just like you, I am extremely grateful every day that I wake up that President Trump is there. I'm watching what he's doing. I'm extremely frustrated at the lack of ability on the congressional level to pass into federal law the things that he's doing because they can easily be wiped away by the next president if we're not careful.
Why do you think
Um,
that's happening? Because I had Lisa
well,
McLean on a couple of weeks ago, and I asked her that question, and she kind of answered it and said, "Yeah, we need to do that." But what's holding them up? Do you think?
Okay, so some of it's a math equation, right? So we have a barely slim majority in the Congress in the House, and we don't have. While we have a majority in the Senate, we don't have 60 votes to break the filibuster and get through some of the safety nets that have been used in the Senate for years and years and years and years. And that is that 60 vote threshold requirement. So when you look in the House across the country, there really are 3 to 4 vulnerable members that won districts that used to be that flipped districts. And Michigan 7, Tom Barrett sitting in the Alyssa Slotkin seat, is one of those seats. And those members, so all it takes is the Democrats picking off 1 or 2 members of Congress in order to successfully stop anything that Republicans want to do on the federal level. And so when you start to look, basically what the Democrats, and when I say the Democrats, I don't mean Chuck Schumer, I don't mean the Democrat Party, I mean George Soros and his organization of Democrat corporate political organizations that have moved money around, have funneled money around, that have impacted elections across the country. They have taken on a strategy to target these 3 to 4 congressional members. If you think that people standing outside of Tom Barrett's office on a Tuesday picketing is organic, it's not. If you think people flooding Tom Barrett's office is organic, it's not. This is all orchestrated. It's all being paid for by people like George Soros and other mega donors on the Democrat Party. All of these headlines that they are creating is being done artificially and very intentional by the Democrats to cause these Republicans. And I would argue Tom Barrett is going to have a harder time winning his reelection campaign than he will have last cycle winning that seat to begin with. Why? Because it's an off election year with President Trump sitting in the office, and Republicans usually have a hard time in the gubernatorial year turning our voters out to vote. And so Tom Barrett has to raise more money and fight harder to keep his seat this cycle than he did to win it last cycle. Now, once he's over this hump, I would argue he's going to be in a pretty decent spot. But he is hands down, no questions asked, the #1 congressional targeted seat by Republicans and Democrats across the country in 2026. And everything that's being done right now is intentional. And it fits into this whole recruiting Democrats, right? This is their strategy.